you up a bit, I just want to make a statement about BWSSB. Hope you don't mind. For BWSSB, water supply is always in the pipeline. You know, much water seems to have flown after Mr. T.V. Ramchandra spoke a lot about water. He actually stole our thunder before many of the points he mentioned there. He has covered a lot. Now, and of course, after lunch, much more water would have flown under. Now, the first question everyone would inevitably ask is, before that, the theme of the session is, can Bangalore achieve water self-sufficiency by 2040? Now, people will ask me, are you crazy? Mr. T.V. Ramchandra himself was saying that, Bangalore will run out of all water by, it was supposed to have run out by 2 years back. Then we had sufficient rain last year. And then they said even the world was talking about it. And they said after Cape Town, everyone was waiting for the last drop to fall in Bengaluru. Yes, you can call it audacity of hope. It is really possible. And we have the experts here. I'll go to them one by one. But before that, to put in a nutshell, we have so much of water coming in. Why don't we, desilt the lakes and use those lakes as storage tanks? Is it possible? Now, I don't want to be an expert here before they must be wondering why this guy is talking. So, Mr. Vishwanath, he's a rainwater expert, rainwater harvesting expert. Everybody knows about it. Now, a city blessed with an average rainfall of 787 millimeters has for years struggled to meet its water demand of 18 TMC feet. Don't you see a contradiction here? Why has this enormous amount of water been allowed to go wasted? Now, from your experience, can you say about this rainwater harvesting? Your thoughts on this?
Thanks, Rashid, and thanks to the audience for turning up post-lunch. I hope you have something to wake you up as things go along. So let me start by making a couple of controversial points as we go along, and to agree partially with Dr. T.V. Ramchandra, but to disagree with him. In the 1880s, Bangalore had a population of 2.5 lakh people. For 3 years, the rains failed. There were the 1,000 miraculous lakes of Bangalore, 1880s. 1 lakh people died in the kingdom of Mysore for want of water, for drought and famine. The lakes were insufficient to support 2.5 lakh people because the rains failed, and the rains failed continuously. If they do so the romanticization of the narrative of the lakes, in my opinion, is a wrong narrative that we are building up, point one. At that time, the city fathers, 1894, thought of bringing water from Hesarghatta, a more perennial source, and got it to us, using steam engines. This city has a history of solving problems through engineering and technology, and that remains a BWSSB standard, right? So we are the first to use electricity to pump water. We were the first to meter all our connections. You'll be surprised that with the 1 million connections we have in Bangalore city, every one of them is metered. The legal connections are metered. No other city in India comes close to that, and you get a bill every month, right? So BWSSB bashing is fantastic because they have a lousy communications department. They don't have a public relations department. They don't tell people what they are doing and what they have done. The grand GDP, 60% of the GDP of the state, which comes from the city, the 3,80,000 per capita income, is all because of those 3 pipelines which come from the Cauvery, which the BWSSB brings and delivers water to each one of our homes, right? So we have to acknowledge them for what they are doing. And we have to also understand what the weaknesses are. This 1,450 million liters per day, which comes from the Cauvery, and the 775 MLD, which will come, hopefully by the end of 1 year, is about 2,450 million liters per day. The projected population of the city by 2050, according to the BWSSB's master plan, is 2 crores. The chief minister, the honorable chief minister, said the population could be 3 or 4 crores. That's not the way planning can work. It cannot work on 3 or 4 crores. The projection says 2 crores. If we are designing for 2 crores, there's enough and more water from the Cauvery alone. for each one of us, provided we are ready to live with 100 liters per capita per day, which is the norm globally, right? So there is no resource scarcity in the city. The Cauvery is essential, and it's absolutely crucial that we get water from the Cauvery. The water we get from the Cauvery is also this way. Karnataka has been allocated 284.75 TMC feet of water. Bangalore takes 19 TMC feet, let's say 1,450 MLD, right? That's 6.67% of Karnataka's allocation of water. It supports 40% of Karnataka's population in the Cauvery Basin. Once the water comes to the city, it's being treated now and shipped to Kolar, Chikballapur, Anekal to fill up 500 lakes, providing livelihood to farmers, 120 kilometers away, providing food security to the city. Brave new project, the second largest of its kind in the world after Mexico City. Bangalore has done some remarkably good things and is doing some remarkably good things. What should it do more? Just the last point that I want to mention, and this is the biggest lacunae. Groundwater can provide 600 to 1,100 million liters per day, depending on who's quoting the numbers. And it's all iffy because we may have 4 lakh to 5 lakh bore wells. Groundwater is completely undergoverned. If groundwater plans are drawn up, governed better, and the rainwater that falls on the city, which Dr. TVR talks about so much, is made to push into the aquifer. The water in the lakes will be needed for the birds and for the bees and the butterflies. This groundwater recharge through the lakes will be a second important component, and through these two components of groundwater, Cauvery water, and treated wastewater recirculating in the city, we will not have a shortage by 2050, forget 2040. Thanks, Rishi.
Thank you, Vishwanath. Of course, if TV Ramachandra is here, we can get a counter to that, if time permits. But now we'll come to Dr. Veena. We have all been talking about water conservation for years, but the success rate, as Mr. Vishwanath himself says, is not that great, right? In terms of policy interventions, you have been researching a lot on environment and all that. So what do you think, what kind of course correction has to happen right now?
So let me take off on what Vishwanath said about that 100 liters per capita per day target. Because one of the biggest counters that you get from a lot of people, justifiably, is to say, wait, we are at 200. How on earth are you going to convince people to come to 100? And a lot of basically what needs to happen, and I'm going to say in the combination of policy as well as technology, combination of that, is this challenge of how do we get from 200 to 100? And there's many components to it. We're not saying suddenly overnight that everybody is going to become altruistic and stop taking baths or minimize their baths or so on. But a lot of the answer there lies in better pricing. We know that Bangalore, despite having, being more progressive actually than a lot of other cities in terms of actually having metering, because you have apartments, it's easy to meter houses because water comes in a pipe and you can meter it. It's difficult to meter apartments because each apartment has multiple pipes entering and so on. So there is a massive amount of retrofitting required in order to just get the incentives right and kind of just at least telling people how much water they use and charging them for it as a second step. But again, Bangalore being, I would say the technology city we have, there's a lot of interesting innovations in the smart metering side. So I would say a combination of policy and technology there can get you a small part of the way. A second big component has got to be reuse of wastewater for appropriate end users. So of course, we are not technologically at the point where decentralized wastewater treatment plants can automatically treat water to a high enough quality that it can be used directly for direct potable use. So that means we already have, we know 4,000 decentralized wastewater treatment plants in commercial complexes and apartment complexes in the city. They are not yet treating their water to standard, both for technological reasons and a variety of other
do you think that's one reason why people are reluctant to even touch even tertiary treated water?
So, but on the other hand, I wanted to say that, so the vast majority is not yet compliant. However, there are good success stories of a few apartment complexes that have figured it out, which means it's technologically possible. The frontier exists. It's just now a matter of getting our entire compliance system, and that includes a lot of very specific components like can you reliably treat the water to quality? Can you then test it and create trust so that people trust that water quality? then can you match the water quality to the end use? But all of these have been done in other parts of the world. They have been done in places in Bangalore. It's a matter of kind of getting the entire socio-technical system to have that more. So I would say broadly, it's a combination of policy and technology components to ensure compliance once policies are in place, as well as some part of it is awareness and getting people to kind of feel comfortable with some of those things. But long and short of that, I'm with Vishwanath in the sense of broad optimism that it's possible, and we just need those right components to bring what we call a socio-technical system to transform from what we have today to that of the future.
From what you spoke and what Vishwanath spoke, there's an indication that they have been consulting BWSSB. We have Mr. Devaraj, he's the chief engineer there. Since BWSSB, it's very difficult to spell that.
Yeah, BWSSB.
Okay. So, since the chairman is not here, he is well versed with, he's got about 25 years of experience, especially in rainwater harvesting. But then I have a question. Now, from the government side, we have hundreds and thousands of borewells being dug up in the outskirts of the city. When you're talking about groundwater table, is this the way to go? And I'm not blaming just BWSSB. I'm also asking the BBMP. They also followed the same kind of path, which has forced the groundwater table to go below sustainable levels.
The borewell is not an alternative solution to the water. Presently, the BWSSB is now pumping and distributing to the city of around 1,470 MLD of water per day. So, as our Vishwanath sir told, we are pumping in all the 3 stages to the Bangalore city with a so difficulty, and we are maintaining the network of around 10,800 kilometers of pipeline in the Bangalore city. It is one part. The source of Bangalore city is 100 kilometers away from Bangalore. That is one of the difficult tasks. We are pumping the water supply from nearly 1,500 feet from the ground level to Bangalore. That is the level difference of Bangalore and our source. And as sir told me, the self-sufficiency, self-sustainability of Bangalore city of water supply to the 2040. I think as on today, we are in shortfall of demand of nearly 345 MLD of water to the citizens of Bangalore, as on today. That's why we are not able to give the water supply to the 110 villages of area of BBMP. That is the outskirts of BBMP area. Now, we are planning to get an additional quantity of water from the Cauvery source. We are planning for the treatment of 775 MLD at TKLE. And the project is under progress with the help of JICA loan, and the project may be completed within the 2023, year the end of 2023. By that time, we can able to add 775 MLD of water to the Bangalore city, totalizing up to the 2,250 MLD. By that time, maybe the projected population of the Bangalore city, as on today, maybe the 1.1 million. So, sorry, 10.1 million. So, the projected population at the 2040, what we have expected, and we have prepared the vision document to the Bangalore city from the BWSSB, is to, that is of 2040, the population projected as per the census and the approximation is almost 20 crores. 20 million, as our Vishwanath sir told. So, for that time, in 2040, at that time, again, we are at a deficient shortfall in the demand of around 490 MLD. This 490 MLD and the as on today, we have to met out the 495 MLD of shortfall demand. We have come through the policy of insisting the rainwater harvesting in the Bangalore city and reuse of recycled water in the Bangalore city. See, as on today, we are having the capacity of treating the we are recycling the reuse of water is almost 1,525 MLD. 1,525 MLD. So today we are treating only up to 1,000 MLD of water. Within that, we are having almost nearly 500 MLD of tertiary treated plants near Jakkur. We are having the other Jakkur, Yelahanka, Kabban Park, Lal Bagh, and the Mysore Road, Vrushabhavati Valley. All our tertiary treated plants, we are meeting the demands of the industrial consumers. If the publics were made their mindset to use the reuse of recycled water, then only we can achieve the sustainability in the Bangalore city. That is BWSS.
I just want a question. You have around 35 sewage treatment plants, right?
Yes, sir.
And the efficiency levels are like below par. The Chief Minister himself had admitted that. With that kind of a record, how do you think that treated water can solve Bangalore's problem, partially at least?
Yeah, see, any of these treatment plants which we are designed, not one as the design period to get the optimum level is up to 15 years, not only right now. See, we are designing the treatment plant to keep up to the 15 years by projecting the population and considering the generation of the sewage and treatment, everything we are taken into account. We are planning up to the 15 years, sir, actually. See, that's why all our treatment plants now it is almost 75% we are treating. 75% of the capacity of the treatment plant we are treating the sewage now, right now.
Okay, now we come to this, often talked about topic of desilting of stormwater drains. It is a project going on and gone. It's an elephantine project. It's been, a lot of money has been flown into that. Now, Dr. Veena, this concretization of these stormwater drains and of course, even the white topping has had problems with, the groundwater seepage is affected by this. Do you think that there needs to be a change in the way our infrastructure is designed to allow seepage of rainwater?
Well, I think all of us know that currently our drains all have sewage in them. So in a sense, you can certainly see why there is a constituency which doesn't want that water to seep at the moment, because it's really mostly raw sewage that we're talking about. Now, in the long run, is that the right strategy? I would say in the long run, if you were able to either get reasonably treated water within the drain, or you were able to get primarily stormwater within the drain with a small amount of well-treated sewage, then you can make the case that we want this to then become, and I think several people, I think Leo in this morning's panel also described a future of Bangalore where we go from our open drain, our city being these having stinky open drains, to kind of being, these tree-lined or vegetation-lined kind of things where the vegetation was scrubbing the excess nutrients and so on. In that situation, where your drains are performing this function and are actually carrying water that you want to seep into the ground, I certainly would say that then you want to kind of not have concretization. Now, in defense, actually I don't want to use the word defense, but I think one of the primary constraints in moving from this future to that future is the set of policies that, for example, dictate the standards of tendering for drains, for example. So they have to follow CPHO guidelines, and CPHO guidelines call for certain amounts of concretizing because they were imagined the drains as, function of drains as primarily being to route the stormwater as quickly out of the city as possible. So in a sense, catching or complaining about the local agencies alone and their inability to fix it isn't enough. We do need to fix some of those larger policy frameworks which will allow it to happen. But I presume we don't want to do it with stinky sewage line, filled drains. We want to first fix that problem and then fix the other problem. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Vishwanath, we are running short of time, but one question that, can lakes, desilted lakes, act as storage of rainwater?
Sure, desilted lakes have an advantage that they can percolate rainwater better, but it's not easy to desilt lakes. There's tons of silt, and where do you dump them, as we are finding out in Bengaluru and Varthur, right? So it's an urban problem and it's an urban issue. But I'd just like to take over from what lakes can do, and the Jakkur Lake example was mentioned by Dr. TVR, who had participated in the design of it. That's one of the models that we need to replicate across all lakes. But The next point is that Yelahanka connects to Jakkur, Jakkur connects to Rachenhalli. The Rajkal ways from Yelahanka to Jakkur, Jakkur to Rajkal to Rachenhalli could be the model that we are talking about, the ones without concrete in it, right? So we have to progressively increase the good examples, take it forward, and not worry too much about desilting lakes. No, even allowing for wetlands to come. The bird biodiversity in Jakkur is 206 different species of birds in Jakkur. We're taking over the bird panel now because they took over the water panel. But that's the kind of diversity that we have. And the role of lakes is essentially ecological and social, to a large extent recharge also, that can occur. I'll just add one more point to the stormwater drain issue. The intensity of rainfall in Bangalore now is 180 millimeters per hour. It's increased 3 times, thanks to the urban heat island effect and climate change, a combination of both, right? The runoff, because of the concreting and the paving of the city, is now humongous. It's 90% of the rain that falls in a particular area will run off. Unless you concrete drains, you will have huge scouring. There are trade-offs between which drains can be concreted, which cannot. We should be wise to choose between the two and put in the appropriate one. A one-size-fits-all will not work for the city of ours, right? So that's what we have to work on it.
Okay, I think since the time is very short, I have just one question. This is from Suresh Muna. He says in London, the Thames River was once known as the Great Stink, but it is now a very interesting tourist destination. Is it not possible to make our own Vrishabhavati a Thames of Bengaluru? Can one of you take this?
I mean, why not? I mean, the main thing that London did between having the Great Stink and the tourist haven that it is today is basically a lot of investment in sewage treatment. And there's no reason, I mean, the technology is there. I don't think money is even the issue if you just calculate the number of MLD. So that's even, I mean, compared to all of the other investments we make, compared to the GDP and the size of Bangalore, it's negligible. So technologically, economically, it's not the problem. Often the problem, as Vishwanath also just said, is kind of coordination ends up being a difficulty because you have the STPs controlled by BWSSB, stormwater drains controlled by BBMP, lakes controlled some by BBMP, some by the Lakes Department, some by the Forest Department. And getting these agencies together behind a single vision and what we call a blue-green infrastructure plan remains kind of a bottleneck. And so I think technologically, economically, it's feasible. It's institutionally, how do you drive it?
Before we wind up, I'll come to you.
Yeah. One more add up to this, Madam. This thing, as you talked about Vishwanath Valley, the government has already started the K100 waterway project from I think Shantala Silk Sand Saris to the Bellandur Lake. They've already taken up the one prestigious project, and that is under leadership of our ACS Vandita Sharma Madam. That can also be considered, sir. Vishwanath Valley also considered. Just all the BWSSB is taking all the care to plug the sewer entry into the stormwater drain in the K100 as well as in the Vishwanath Valley also.
Okay, one final response from you, and then we'll wind up the session. We have been talking about water supply and conservation, but the fact remains that almost 40% of the water which comes to Bangalore at great cost, 150 kilometers away, is wasted. They call it by a very euphemistically framed, unaccounted for water. Your response, sir.
Yes, sir. It is not 40%. See, we are accounting the water up to UFW is as on today, as on the last month, January, is on 34.5%. I do accept, sir. The reason is we are provide the infrastructure early in 1890s, almost the 70 to 80 years back, we have provided all the infrastructure. At that time, what is the technologies available, we have provided, sir. We are already we are into the reduce the NRW. We have taken up all the three to four projects in the Bangalore city to reduce the UFW to the considerable level. And also we are succeeding in the some of the parts like Helanka and all with less than 10% also. So we have taken up the project for reducing the UFW, and I do accept that 34.5% is our UFW level in the Bangalore city. Providing the infrastructure and maintaining the infrastructure and replacing the infrastructure with the asset management is very difficult, and we are doing, sir.
Thank you.
Rashid, let me just add one point to that UFW issue. Two components to the UFW. One is a financial loss, where water is reaching people but is not paid for. The second is a hydrological loss, where the water is leaking into the ground and is being extracted as groundwater by people. There's no net loss to the city. There's a financial loss to the BWSSB. We are again exaggerating a UFW unnecessarily as though it's lost completely and it evaporates. No, it's used by the citizens of Bangalore. We need more discipline.
Thank you. I think we have a lot more questions, but due to paucity of time, we can't take any of them. Thanks a lot for all the three for giving your insights and perspectives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Rashid, for driving the conversation. I request Mr. B.S. Arun, Deputy Editor, to hand over mementos to our speakers, please. If you could kindly accept them to make this event all the more memorable. Thank you for this fantastic discussion. Self-sufficiency in water, can Bengaluru achieve it by 2040? Lots of points that came across from this very discussion. Feel free to connect with our panelists offline as well. A round of applause for them, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much.